Morning, morning, everybody. Michelle is here in the building, sitting down, relaxing, calming myself down, because I got worked up earlier. Because I think when I was talking about anxiety and stuff like that, panic attacks, anxiety, and I know a lot of us deal with that. And I told you, I suffer from that too. I have anxiety, panic attacks, all of that. No differently than anybody else. I just manage things differently and do everything in my power to just talk it through and make sure I'm dealing with reality of a situation, because yes, I get worked up. Trust. Anybody that'll be around me, they'll see, especially when it comes to finances. Because, I know that the financial aspect of my life is extremely important. I have to always make sure that I'm on top of things financially to make sure that I'm taken care of, because I don't want to be a burden to anyone. And I say that for a reason. It's because, when I grew up in my family household, like I said, my parents were perfect models for me. And that is what your parents usually are. They're the model for you, and they show you the positive, the negative, the good, the bad, the masculine and the feminine, the blah 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 blah. They for me, they modeled a whole lot of stuff for me. And because I'm more of a visionary person, I would pick up their actions and their behavior and not necessarily listen too much of what they say. So there was always contradictions in everything that people say to you, or at least say to me. Let's put it back on me. I always found contradictions in what people say, especially growing up. They'll say, "Oh, Michelle, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that," or "Michelle, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that." And then I'll, be paying attention and realize that they're doing that, they're doing that, they're doing that. The stuff they told me not to do, not to do. But that comes with life. We are full of contradictions. And that's why I said we need to work on our contradictions so that we can have peace of mind for our own self, not necessarily for anybody else, because our subconscious mind picks up our contradictions, by the way. And our subconscious mind seeks to resolve it. Okay. Okay, is that what you actually mean? Because that's how your subconscious mind works. Is logical. Okay, it picks up logical words, actions, and behaviors. That's why you have to be extremely, extremely clear and effective about what you are saying to people versus what you do behind closed doors. Okay. So with the contradictions, like I said, there was plenty of contradictions growing up in our household, okay? And it came from my mother and my father, both of them. It's irrelevant because, like I said, I was able to understand that there was a contradiction there. And as an adult, because of my early meditation, I was able to work it out to where it all made sense to me and understand why there was a certain cause and effect, to certain things. Because like with my mom, I told you she, to me, her depression is what took her out. That's my opinion. She had a lot of health issues, yes, both of them actually. But I think my mom's depression is what ended it all for her. And this started way back in her 40s. When I noticed it, when I was, like I said, I was the last person to leave the house. She would be saying, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine." But I was paying attention to her behaviors and her actions. And I knew she wasn't fine. But at the same time, I knew that as an adult, I had to take responsibility for my life. And I did not want my parents taking care of me. And I did not want to be a burden to anyone, especially my parents. Even though I knew that they would take care of me. Because like I told you, my dad had to take care of all of us. And it was a lot of us. And then every now and then you have a relative that would just show up. Okay. Or this and that and the other. And there were plenty of people, I'll just say people, in my dad's pockets. I said that. But at the same time, my dad was responsible for handling that and not allowing himself to be used that way. So that was on him. But I'm just saying, I saw the contradictions of a lot of things going on. You know, like I said, he's taking care of almost 10 of us. You know, anybody and everybody would just show up to the house. And that's just how that's just a black culture. You know, that's what black culture would do, just show up. So, you know, but things have changed, of course. Things have changed. I mean, that doesn't happen. I don't know anyone doing that. But anyway, that'll be another subject at some point. The reason, what I'm talking about now is the fact that look, I don't have an issue with someone wanting to help take care of me. You know, and this is going to make sense in a minute, but I always get a little nervous when it happens, when someone wants to help to take care of me. Now, the reason I say this is that, you know, when my parents got married, my dad promised, because this is what he said. He said that he would take care of her. You know, he said he would be there through thick and thin and sickness and health, and he did. He was. But at a price to him physically, right? Because my mom was kind of that, my mom was more of a social person. She wanted to socialize. She wanted to have fun. She wanted to do. But then when she realized she had all these kids in the house, she knew that that was not possible. And she was not going to be burdening us with somebody else. My mom always took care of us if she wasn't in the hospital having more of us. She rarely had any relative taking care of us, but sometimes they would come on in. Some relatives just showed up. That's all I remember as a young girl, that some relatives were there to help take care of us. But for the most part, my mom took care of us. Okay. And if we were to be taken care of by anybody else, my mom made sure that my parents, I should say, my dad more specifically, made sure that these people were compensated. When I say these people, it's not being disrespectful. It's just there were some people that took care of us when we were younger. They know who they are. But my parents, more specifically, my dad compensated them. I know that for a fact. All right. So it is always important for me to make sure, because look, even though my dad said that he would take care of my mom's financial needs, he did. Okay, in the beginning, you know how it is in the beginning. You know, my mom, because they were living in rooming houses in the beginning. Because I told you, my dad first saw my mom in elementary school, getting on a school bus, and he took notice to her. Boom, wow. Something about her caught his attention. Cool, elementary school. You know, a couple of decades later, I don't know. My mom ended up in one city, and my dad ended up in that city as well. He saw her at first on getting on the school bus, and then she saw him. I guess like, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, maybe more, I don't know. They were in their 20s, because that's when they got married, in their 20s. She saw him, and then the rest is history. Right? So my mom had a lot of demands, and she would have admitted that. And he, you know, I mean, she wanted a house. Okay, my dad got her a house. My point is, my dad got my mom everything materialistically that she wanted. Okay, he provided all of that, and he worked hard enough to get that. And on top of that, taking care of all of us, or taking care of anybody that came in the house. Okay. My dad, that's what my dad promised he would do, and that's what my dad fulfilled that. Now, over the course of time though, I think my mom realized and that it's not about the materialistic. It's not about the material things. Okay, my mom wanted a little bit more than that. And I know she did, because we used to talk about it. You know, she wanted to travel. She wanted to see the world. But yet my dad had to, but they all knew that this couldn't take place until we got out of the house, number one. And number two, my dad had to retire because he had a demanding job because my mom did not work. I remember my mom did attempt to go out and find jobs and stuff like that, but it just wasn't in her to do so. All right. She was a nurturer as far as that was concerned. So she more or less was a babysitter. So she used to babysit the neighborhood of all kids. So that was her niche, was babysitting everybody. And a lot of people will tell you that knew my mom or my parents in the neighborhood, knew that my mom was a babysitter. I think she babysitted everybody all over the, all over the area that I'm familiar with. Used to be kids in the house. I'm like, okay, whose children are these? And, they were all nationalities too. They were Spanish. Sometimes I saw some Spanish children. Okay, who's these children? Some white ones, black, So my mom was babysitter. That's how so she was more of a nurturer, taking care of children and babies and blah, blah, blah. All right. But I knew at some point that she wanted more than that. My mom wanted to be a little bit more free. And what does that mean? Free to be who she, free to do some of the things that she had fantasies of and what she daydreamed about. And that was to see the world, socialize, and meet like-minded people. Okay. But she also knew the responsibilities that she had to take care of us. Okay, because we didn't choose to come into the world. And she knew that. My mom never complained about that. I never heard my mom complaining about the fact that we were all there. She took care of us as best she could. And she showed no favoritism towards any of us, despite what any of them said. I know one of my relatives used to say, well, my mom, she never said that she loved us. Well, you don't want nobody just saying they love you. Okay, let their actions and behaviors speak. My mom's actions and behaviors definitely spoke when it came to love. Okay, she didn't go around, she didn't have to say she loved us. Her actions and behaviors was enough for me. Okay. But at the same time, she had dreams and fantasies that I wished she could have, explored, but she did not. She got to a point to where, like I said, if you get yourself trapped in a certain mindset, if you don't control and manage your thoughts, usually your thoughts will degenerate you, and paralyze you. And then not to mention the encasement of negativity. You can get yourself paralyzed and be just trapped in yourself. And that's what I sense depression is. You're just kind of trapped in your ownness. And it's usually your thoughts and the rumination and this and that and the other. So, I'm thinking that, like I said, I saw this in her 40s, these behaviors and these actions of her. Like I said, she couldn't get out of bed and not getting out of bed. And see, everybody else had already left. So they'd have no idea what they're talking about if they come forward and say, well, I didn't know, because you always get people, everybody has their own perceptions of their realities and how they were raised. Okay. Most of all of them left the house when they were anywhere from 17 to 19 years old. Everybody was out of the house. Okay. I was the last one there and I was in my early 20s. All right. Okay. So the rest of them were not there. Okay. The rest of them were not focused on my mom's behaviors because they were focusing on themselves. So yes, they can come forward and say whatever they want about my mom and her lack of saying that she loved us, which is foolish and illogical because love is action and behavior. Okay. We never went without. We always had food, shelter, clothing. We were all well taken care of. And so we all end up being very responsible, top level, abiding citizens as well. Okay. We were not burdens to anyone. None of us, I'm saying my immediate siblings, got in any kind of trouble with law and this and that and the other. All right. We did our thing. And, we were able to get, we're high level law-abiding people. And I'll say that with confidence. Okay, and that's because of my parents, how they modeled for us love and responsibility and accountability. At the same time, you still got to live out some dreams and fantasies. You still got to socialize with like-mindedness. You have to have an interaction with people. And that's what my mom lacked. My dad did not. My dad would go to a bar that was full of people, and that's what he loved. He loved that socializing. Even though I remember one time I went in that bar, there was so much smoke in that place. I don't know how he could breathe in there, but my dad enjoyed that. Because there was a lot of people, there's music, and all he would like to do is just sit there and be among that. You need to be socializing with human beings, is my point to all of this. And interacting with human beings. You know, otherwise, if you don't, something else is going to take over and get you trapped in yourself. So that's what I'm doing now. So in other words, I'm learning these things from my parents. I did everything I did everything within my power to be an upstanding, law-abiding citizen, which I am. But there's no benefits to that, by the way. But the fact, when you look at the whole picture, the big picture, especially from Black culture, and we know that. Okay, there's no benefit to being a upstanding, law-abiding citizen if you come from Black culture. So anyone says otherwise, they're lying to you. All you got to do is look at the effects. Okay, we even have delusional Black people who do not understand that there is no benefit to coming from Black culture at all. But at the same time, I'm still going to live and have a good time and do the best I can, and I have. Okay, I liked how my life is developing. Okay, but there is some ignorance within Black culture from certain levels of Black people. And a lot of them usually were possibly ignored as children growing up in Black culture, because that happens. Or they just were not developed. Okay, because there was no benefit to being a law-abiding, upstanding citizen if you came from Black culture. Okay, we still got because of the discrimination, of course, because of the this infiltration of the negativity towards Black culture, everything and it's revealing itself. That's what I'm attempting to say. Black culture created brilliancy, excellence, but Black culture was infiltrated more so by these so-called Black leaders. Okay, these crusaders. Okay. Also, these so-called Christians, they used to come into the neighborhood in suits, carrying a Bible. And they were from all nationalities. Okay. Black culture was intentionally eroded. Okay. First, the essentials leave. Then the buildings are abandoned. Then you got an eyesore. Then it's called a distressed neighborhood. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that was the plan. Just like I said, with these big corporate businesses, they come into these neighborhoods, more specifically Black culture, set up shop, destroy the neighborhood with the buildings and tearing up the infrastructure, cutting down trees just to build some type of business. And then when they're ready to get up and go, they're ready to get up and go. And that was the whole idea. That was the whole plan. Okay, so I'm very big on not being a burden to people. Okay, I'm very big on taking care of myself and providing for myself. But I know it gets difficult, and I know it will be difficult. It's not like I don't need someone to help me or to assist me. All I'm saying is it brings anxiety. That generates anxiety for me. I just want to make that very clear. Because I saw what had happened to my mom when she depended on my dad. Okay, when she wanted to do certain things, in the beginning, he would do it for her. He had no issue with it. But then he started being tight because she was being irrational, but she didn't understand that. She was being a little bit irresponsible and blah, blah, blah. And so that pissed her off. I know it did. It pissed her off and made her, kind of angry inside because she felt like, it was like a prison for her. It became a prison, because he was, he was controlling the finances and she just wanted to go out and explore and this. So all I'm saying is this. We just have to be realistic of what we expect from people. I think my dad did the best he could, but then he knew that physically it got too much, and so that's when his health started to decline. We just need to lessen the kind of expectations we have of people and understand that it's a financial nightmare to just take care of the basic necessities of life. And what stirred me up is this morning, I'm looking at a particular bill that I have to pay, and I noticed that the bill, it's car insurance. Let's just call it out. I saw that because I hadn't driven my vehicle since I retired. I barely drive that vehicle. I barely use it because I was in another phase of recovery, so I wasn't driving nowhere, to be honest with you. But anyway, that vehicle sat for months on end in the beginning of my retirement. But yet, my premiums have almost doubled. And I barely drive the vehicle. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I told you about the homeowner's insurance. The homeowner's insurance may have tripled. Okay? So, it's pricing people out. And I know it's intentional. I sense it's intentional. They're pricing people out for a reason because they want their property. They want their land. You remember back in the day, they used to burn down black culture. Okay? Then they would manipulate somehow and get the mortgage deeds, steal property that way. I mean, we have proof and evidence of stuff that happened to black culture. The intentional, a lot of people say the intentional erasing, the intentional, I say eroding, because eroding is slow. And you don't realize that there's damage underneath until it's almost too late. And then before you know it, the erosion will wash it away as if it never existed. That's what they do to black cultures. They leave these abandoned buildings in these neighborhoods to say, okay, these people don't care about their neighborhood. Well, and I told you, each city, if you find the blueprint, has plans that are set up for 20, 30, 50 years in advance for certain communities, where their intention was to eventually take it over. Okay? They waited until these elderly, because now most of these black cultures, these black communities are filled with elderly people. And guess what's going to happen? Is anybody thinking about that? And the thing is that the reason why it's so difficult, it was difficult, is like it was hidden. Okay? Well, things are starting to reveal itself. People are starting to be exposed. Okay? And I know a lot of people my age, we were very young when stuff was happening in our cultures, where particular black leaders were murdered or assassinated. Particular people will come in and infiltrate the neighborhood, bring guns into the neighborhood, bring drugs into the neighborhood. Okay. And everything, always blame black culture. Blame black culture. It's the black culture. It's black people. It's black people. But I think more and more every day people are realizing that was a lie. But the damage is done. Okay. So because of this lie, there's a group of people that are non-black, by the way, that they don't realize that they are more involved than ever with eliminating themselves. Okay? In 1,000 years, there's a certain race of people that will not exist. Okay? Because they are blindly eliminating themselves because they don't understand hereditary properties. I've already talked about that enough. So, the point of this this video is this. People are going to be priced out of everything, but they don't realize that it's all going to backfire as well. Okay? Because there's so much damage that's done underneath our feet that we don't recognize it. Because like I said, with erosion, you don't know that it's eroded until what? You come back and you notice there's a difference in the foundation. That's why I said pay attention to your surroundings. Listen. What do you hear? What do you see? Inspect your environments. Inspect your infrastructure. Pay attention. At the same time, you know, be honest with yourself. Come out of your delusion about how great you think you are or how great you think you have it. Okay? Despite all of that as well, you can still live a fulfilling life and have finer things in life that are not materialistic in nature. I mean, you know, the love of human beings, you know, caring for human beings, supporting them, you know. The same thing with animals without being extreme. We're so extreme when it comes to animals. And we need to really pay attention to that. Our environment, you know, there's a whole host of things. So I keep it together. And that's an everyday, ongoing, I wouldn't say a struggle, but it's a necessity, you know, to keep me intact. Because I could easily go off too, just like anybody else. Okay? And I'm not going to listen to this, that it's because I'm strong. That's BS. And that's an excuse. Okay? I'm a genuine human being that has put the work in. Okay? I'm not burying my head in the sand. Okay? I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I've dealt with all walks of life, and I understand that a majority of the walks of life are going to have a rude awakening. Okay? We're putting the burdens on people that do not deserve it, but, you know, a lot of people, we're not looking at that. We just want to get paid in most cases. All right? We want, you know, we got these mortgages, car payments, you know. A lot of people have a whole lot of things that they don't need and that they don't use ever. So I'm excited about my journey. But at the same time, I know that my journey has not been easy, and nor do I expect it to be. Okay, I'm not delusional at all. I may have had my bouts just like everybody else, you know, when I was a young woman, not understanding the realities of things. But I'm totally aware of my realities. No matter how much people will manipulate me. I mean, we're all going to be manipulated, deceived, and taken advantage of under the best circumstances. Okay? We're all going to fail. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to be taken advantage of. We're going to be used. It comes with the territory, and that's what we become. So it happens to all of us. Okay? But again, I have control of the wheel. Sometimes my hands may slip off a little, but I have control of the wheel. Okay? I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. And, you know, It's just going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now, is there a reason to panic? No, it isn't. What it is that you need to be controlling your thoughts and asking yourself, okay, what is my reality? Am I safe where I am? Am I safe where I'm going? Am I safe in what I'm doing? Now, it's a constant. In other words, it's a constant. It's a constant. Everything I do is constant. And I'm no different. I'm no better. And I'm definitely no worse. Okay? So I hope my words are encouraging on this Monday. And understand that, you know, we're all in this together. Now, if you want to continue with the delusion and think otherwise, continue with the delusion and think otherwise. Okay? Like I said, at the end of the day, it's about love. Okay? I'm doing this for love. And I'm gonna stop there. All right? I want to send peace and love. And trust me, I'll be back.